The teardrop, that continues to increase, inflicted portion of the Nairobi-Narok Railway to crash and was followed by earthquake operation in the region. The land is an always changing earth, although in several respects changing might be nearly imperceptible to us. Platter tectonic is a nice sample of the. But each now and once again thing drama happens and leads to renovated questions on the African mainland split in couple. The land's lithosphere, shaped by the peel and the top portion of the robe, is break up in a quantity of fault sheet. These sheet are not statical, but go family member to every some at evolving speeds, moving above a sticky asthenosphere. Precisely which arrangement or mechanisms are over their motion is yet discussed, but are potential to involve convection currents during the asthenosphere and the forces engendered at the boundaries among sheet. The East African fracture veil stretches above 3,000 km of the Bay of Aden in the polar to Zimbabwe in the southward, split the African platter in two uneven components, the Somalian and Nubian sheet. Operation on the east branches of the fracture veil, fleeing on Ethiopia, Kenya, and Tanzania, became obvious while the big fracture abruptly emerging in southward western Kenya. Why does rifting occur? While the lithosphere is object to a lateral volumetric strength, it will extend, proper solvent. Ultimately, it will tear, guideline to the forming of a fracture veil. The trial is followed by shallow manifestations on the fracture veil in the shape of volcanism and earthquake operation. Rifts are the original phase of a mainland break down up or, if success, can conduct to the forming of a new sea pelvis. An sample of a location on land wherever that has happened is the southward Atlantic Sea, that leading of the breakdown up of Southward America and Africa about 138 meter year ago, always noted how their coastlines match stick love trimming of the identical surprise. Mainland rifting requires the life of volumetric forces large quite to break down the lithosphere. The East African fracture is outlined as an busy kind of fracture, in that the resource of these stresses put in the circulating of the main robe. Under the fracture, the growth of a big robe feather is doming the lithosphere above, challenging it to loosen as an outcome of the growth in heat, expose stretch and break by faulting. Testimony for the life of the heat then normal robe feather has been found in geophysics information and is frequently called to as the African superswell. The superplume is not just a wide accepted resource of the drag-apart forces how are resultant in the forming of the fracture veil, but has as well been utilized to explanation the abnormally top surveying of the southern and East African plateaus. Breakup isn't lightweight rifts artifact, a really distinguishing surveying, characterized by a episode of error-bounded depressions enclosed by high area. In the East African framework, a episode of verified fracture valleys separate of every some by big bordering faults can be obviously seen of area. Not all of these fractures shaped at the identical period, but accompanied a succession start in the long area in northern Ethiopia at about 30 year ago and spreading southward to Zimbabwe at a indicate bet of among a year. Though largest of the period rifting is imperceptible to us, the forming of new faults, fissures and cracks or renovated motion on old faults as the Nubian and Somalian sheet go on driving separately can outcome in earthquakes. Yet, in East Africa largest of the seismic is distribution above a broad area through the fracture veil and is of comparatively little significance. Volcanism fleeing near is a future shallow expression of the continuing trial of mainland breakdown up and the vicinity of the hot melted asthenosphere to the shallow. A time scale in activity. The East African fracture is distinctive in how it allows us to watch various stages of rifting on its long. To the southward, wherever the fracture is youthful, expansion rates are low and faulting occurs above a broad region. Volcanism and seismic are bounded. To the long area, yet, the whole fracture veil story is coated in volcano rock. This suggests how, in the region, the lithosphere has thinned nearly to the spot of full breakdown up. While that happens, a new sea will start shaping by the hardening of lava in the area created by the breakup sheet. Ultimately, above a time of tens of millions of years, seabed propagating will advance on the whole long of the fracture. The sea will flooding in or, as a outcome, the African mainland will be less, and down there will be a big isle in the Hindu Sea of components of Ethiopia and Somalia, consisting the bugle of Africa. Drama events, such as flash highway splitting faults or big disastrous earthquakes, may offer mainland rifting a feeling of urgent yet, largest of the period, it goes on split Africa out of nobody though noticing.